Welcome to the Imperfect Dads podcast. This is your host, Devin. We believe dads care deeply about their family and kids, but they don't always have a space to discuss what their life looks like. Our podcast is a space for dads to discuss the ups and downs of fatherhood and how they feel like they're holding it together or how they're not. Thank you for joining us for this episode. This podcast is part of the Never a Phase Network. Make sure to follow them on Instagram or go to the website neveraphasenetwork.com. On this episode, we have a musician, Matt Pryor. You might know from the Get Up Kids, the New Amsterdams, the Terrible Twos, or playing under his own name. We talked about his time podcasting, his old podcast, Nothing to Write Home About, story arcs and conflict in kids' entertainment, his experience making kids' music, food, his sense of humor, thoughts on songwriting, his new album, getting sober, running a Kickstarter campaign, promoting yourself, and having kids who are now adults. Matt's new album, The Salton Sea, is available on all streaming services. He's also about to go on tour, and his kids are actually the opening band for his tour that's coming up. And you can also go to mattpryorandthesaltonsea.com to find the album and tour dates. Also, if you didn't notice, like in the title for this episode, this is actually my 200th episode doing this podcast. I've listened to Matt's music career since I first heard the Get Up Kids in like 1999 or 2000. To say that Matt doing an episode and talking to me is surreal is an understatement. I think I convinced my parents to buy me an acoustic guitar because I wanted to play Out of Reach specifically. I learned how to play bar chords from wanting to learn the Get Up Kids songs. So it's really cool to have done this podcast for this long, to talk to people about everyday life and just to get perspective on life from the vantage point of being a dad. So if you've been here since episode 1 or you just found us, thank you a ton. It means a lot to me that people keep on wanting to come on the show and do it, and hopefully let's make it to 300, if not 400 episodes. And also just like one more thing.
Dad, just start the episode.
Oh, my bad. So, hey, welcome to another episode of The Imperfect Dads. This episode's guest is, let's see, you've done podcasts, you've written a book, you write music. It's Matt Pryor. Welcome to the episode.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
First question, I do have to ask you. I was obsessed with Nothing to Write Home About as a series of podcasts. What's the status of that? I know it's like not online anymore or anything. Will that ever make a return to the internet?
I don't think so, because I don't know that I still have the episodes, and it's, over a decade old now at this point. Yeah. So I don't know that the conversations are really as evergreen as you try to make a podcast be. I don't know. I think also because it was kind of in the early days, at least for me, of podcasting, a lot of the people I was talking to weren't terribly experienced being on podcasts, so they were kind of confused by it. I think a little bit, whereas now it's a lot more, I wanted to say acceptable, but that's not the right word. It's just sort of like I think musicians we're not initially used to talking about themselves for an hour. And now I think that they have been media trained to be able to do so. But no, I don't think so. I think that's one of the many things I was thinking about this today, because I've been debating this Substack that I started, whether to keep it or not. Mm-hmm. And that I try things, like I get interested in things and I try them. And some of them work out better than others. That's how I started a band in the first place. I was interested in doing that. And so I tried it. Yeah.
It's, I feel like I remember some of those seemed almost like you had signed on to a phone call. So it was very like telephony, audio quality also. Cause there weren't platforms for podcasting. There's, like 5 I can think off the top of my head where you just sign into an app and everything's ready to go for you.
Yeah, it was mostly like over Skype at the time. So yeah,
that makes sense. That's do you do much podcasting anymore? Because I know you used to do that one. You did the one for like Vagrant and everything. Is that a world you dabble in that much anymore?
Not really. I kind of get enough out of conversations of just being interviewed on podcasts. That is kind of the thing about podcasting. I thought was that it was more work than it was, just compared to the other things that I've done. It was like a lot more work for a lot less reward, I guess.
Yeah.
At least it was at the time. I think you can probably make money off of it now, but it just sort of, I don't know. I kind of got sick of it, and then I kind of ran out of people that I was interested in talking to for a while. And then publicists started to reach out to me, and I was talking to people in bands who I wasn't interested in, and I was just like, this sucks. This is not.
Yep.
This isn't fun. So moving on.
Yep. That makes sense. Like, because if I do an episode, I try to think best how to promote it, and like the lifespan of it is like a week, and then people are ready to move on to the next thing. Where like, if you write a new album, you probably tour it for a year, publicize it for a year, and you can like sit for a bit and you can explore it, as opposed to people being like, well, who else are you going to talk to? What else can you offer me?
Well,
now?
I think I've been thinking about this a lot lately too, about, especially with like social media stuff, about just how like, I don't like the term content creator because I think it's kind of demeaning. And then also
it is
just how disposable everything is. And I think that podcasts really kind of are a fine line. You know, they're not like as disposable as like an Instagram reel, but they're not as like, you don't go back to a podcast over and over and over again when you're feeling down, you know, like when you get broken up with, you don't go, I gotta go listen to that podcast, you know.
That's true.
Maybe some people do. I've never had that. Maybe I just haven't cracked that code yet, you know.
That's it. I find it funny to be, I'm in my I'm 38, and like songs about having your heart broken don't resonate the same way because I've been in a committed marriage for like 12 years. So I'm more like trying to listen to songs that are about like how to live everyday life and be committed to someone. So I like, my mindset is completely different than like my heart's broken, I feel desperate and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's really difficult to write a song about being content. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make for very good. It's sort of like the same way like you talk about like a movie or a book that has no conflict. And it's just like, oh, the character ended up the same way he was at the end of the movie that he was at the beginning of the movie. It's like, well, there's no conflict there. There's no story. And I think if you wrote a record like that, I have this is all of my theories are coming out tonight. This idea that like there's no true like just love songs that are just about love. The only one I could think of is I Just Called to Say I Love You by Stevie Wonder. And that one's corny as shit. So it's just sort of like there's no like songs that are like like it's like that, you know, I don't know. It's just interesting because like you need to have conflict, I think. Like you don't necessarily have to have conflict in your life to write about it, but I think if it just makes for boring art if it's just contentment, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that made me think of I'll Have to Say I Love You in a song by Jim Croce. And I guess the conflict in that song is his internal conflict with himself of not knowing how to express himself properly. But you're right. Well, I'll use this as a segue into like kids entertainment, because I feel like kids entertainment is interesting to me because it's like the conflict in it can be the most boring conflict ever. I bet your kids are too old to watch a lot of kids movies anymore, but trying to figure like whenever you have like a 5-year-old, the conflict in a kids movie is like, that boy stole my car. And it's like the weakest, thinnest conflict possible.
I actually think I would challenge that a little bit because I think if you go back and you look at like the old Disney movies, they tend to have a lot more. Some of them are like Snow White's kind of scary, you know, when you see the witch, or even Little Mermaid, like Ursula's kind of scary, you know, and like Hansel and Gretel's fucked up. Like, you know, like there's a lot of just like those old nursery rhymes are all really fucked up. And then my understanding is it shows like Bluey, which I think is still really popular with the very young. It deals with a lot of like adult, not adult themes, but like, you know, like there's like heavier shit in that, I think is what I've been told. But yeah, I think that like when you get into the thing of like, I mean, children's entertainment is rough because it's like, you know, you kind of have, I think it's gotten dumbed down more. Like when you look at like old Sesame Street and old Muppets, you know, Jim Henson stuff, it's a little bit, they're trying to like toe the line between making it entertaining for the adults as well as for the children. And I think that like, you know, I think that maybe that gets lost a bit, but it's been a minute since I've been in that world. So.
No, Bluey's a solid one. It definitely does like, there's an episode where the dad goes on a work trip and it talks about how he feels sad to leave his family. And it's like equally from the kid's perspective and his. But like, we're also now filled with shows like Coco Melon and all this YouTube content that's just like really thin, very bright and shiny, and makes me tired whenever my kids want to watch it.
Well, I mean, that's not really storytelling. That's just like distraction, right?
Yeah, it
like
is.
It's just
yeah.
sort of like, there's no, I mean, I think that like good children's media that's geared towards children tells a story and has a reason for being, and isn't just like I remember the Baby Einstein videos when my kids were really little, and it was just like, it's just a fucking video of a toy. And it's just like,
and nothing else.
And it's just like, I mean, good on the gal who invented that and made all the money, but it just sort of like, there's nothing enriching about that. It's just distraction. No. It's just like, you know.
Yeah. I've talked to a lot of dads, and they're always just like, I don't understand YouTube. My kids watch other people do things that they could do themselves. Like, they watch videos of that. Yeah.
Someone explained it to me one time that we used to go over to a buddy's house and watch him play Super Mario Brothers. You know what I mean? Like, we'd all sit in the room and be like, you'd be waiting for your turn, or you'd go to the arcade even and like watch, like, I think they did that in Stranger Things when that Dragon's Quest game came out. That was like the animated one. Is that what it was called?
I think so. Yeah, that seems right. Yeah.
There was just like, it was like entertainment. Like, you just gathered around and watched somebody else play video games. And so if you think about it from that perspective, I guess I understand it. It is when you like put it on paper, it just sort of seems like a waste of time. But you know, we did it. We turned out okay, I think. That's maybe
somewhat. Yeah. How'd you? I know we talked a little bit. You live in Lawrence, Kansas. How'd you end up even living in Lawrence, or what brought you to live in that city specifically?
Well, I was touring a lot. My wife was going to school in Boston, and then when she graduated, we decided to move back. We're both from Kansas City, so we moved back to Kansas City for kind of to like regroup and get married. And then I just kind of fell in love with Lawrence because a lot of my friends were here, and there were a lot of other good bands here. There's a lot of places to play. There's good food, good beer, good coffee. And then we just started having kids, and then we've just been stuck here ever since.
That makes sense. It does take a lot of inertia when you have kids to be like, all right, we're going to go somewhere else, because it's like you've already got a rhythm with all your community around you.
Well, and then her folks moved out here, and like our family's in the area. And so now we were actually talking about this tonight, because she's finishing up her PhD, and our kids are older, and I can kind of work from wherever. And so it's just sort of like, well, where are we going to go? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. What's how old are your kids, or how many kids you have, ages, all that good stuff?
I hesitate to call them kids because they're all actually adults. They can all vote. 18, 21, and 23.
Yeah, that's not kids. That's adult children. What's the correct?
I just call them adults. I call them the kids all the time. I don't know. I don't. It doesn't come up that often, honestly.
Okay. Yeah. Are they in college, high school?
They're all graduated from high school. One of them's at KU, and then the other two work at a bakery and are playing music with me and going on tour with me on my solo tour that starts next month, and next year.
Oh, sweet. How's it feel to have your kids like want to pursue a music career and to go on tour with you?
It's cool. They're talented. All three of them play music. My oldest boy, the one that's in school, he composes like more like instrumental, like electronic stuff. Like I think his ultimate goal would be like someone who scores like video games, like that kind of stuff, which I haven't, which is sort of like my job adjacent. You know what I mean? Like it's just, and then the other two are sort of like punk rock kids, and like they're both talented enough to make a living as touring musicians, but they both have seen me do it for so long that they know it's not this like glamorous, it's a lot of gas station burritos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. Because I would imagine your son, if he wants to do soundtrack stuff, I feel like that's the element of a music career where you like do sync placement, or like you write music for commercials or for TV spots and stuff like that.
I have no idea. I mean,
It's a whole different world.
It's a tangent of the industry that I don't know anything about.
Yeah. I lived in Nashville for 18 years and I had some friends where like whenever they needed to make some extra money, that's what they would do. They would hit out, they had like a contact at somewhere where they'd place music for them.
That's cool.
And they would just make music beds basically and be like, hey, here's a happy sounding song. Do you want it? Does anyone want it for a show?
It's probably decent money if you can get it.
What do you feel like your kids have learned about watching you be on the road? Like, is there any aspect of that life that you feel like they're specifically like, Dad, we watched you do this. We know how hard this is. Anything like that?
I mean, we haven't really talked about it that directly, but like, I think that they definitely think of it as a job. Like, I think I've always done a good job of like, of sort of demystifying it and like kind of being like, this is, cause like, I'm not, playing arenas or anything like, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't like, I'm not flying to every show. It's just like, this is a working class, kind of blue collar club band. You know what I mean? Like it just sort of like, so it's a lot of, it's basically just, it's running a small business is what it is. And it just, so like I think that if they've learned anything, it's that, and that it takes a lot of work. It's really gratifying. It's really rewarding, but it's not, all parties.
Yeah. It seems like anymore, the reality of being a musician is you're a small business owner. You've got to like create a brand, create image, create all this stuff and hope that you break through the noise.
Because of like the way the industry was started, or at least with rock and roll, that it's like this sort of like it's running a small business while you're pretending that you're just completely aloof to the whole thing and having this extended adolescence. And sometimes you can do that, but not if you want to. I mean, I'm pushing 50, so it's like not if you want to have a long career at it.
Like, I feel like you've always changed yourself creatively over the decades where if you've gotten burnt out, I feel like you're always doing new creative stuff for yourself.
I mean, I do get burnt out, but I do try, like try different things, like talking about doing podcasts or writing a book and stuff like that. And like, so I try to keep it, I was going to say I try to keep it fresh, but that just sounds like some sort of like stupid follow your dream kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
But I try to keep myself interested in what I'm doing. Because I think if I get bored with it, then the work suffers. You know what I mean? Like, and it just becomes like tepid.
Yeah. I think if you're creating something and while you create it, you're like, I don't like this creation. I feel like that's usually the metric I go off of like, if I think this sucks, why would I think someone else would suddenly enjoy it?
Yeah. But then if you're in a negative headspace about it, you can be like, well, I need this to work. I need to keep this ball rolling because this is how I make my living. And that is just like it's a bad headspace loop to get into because then you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
I feel like regardless if you do a creative career or not, lots of people get to almost 50 and they're like, what did I do for my whole life? What did I do for a career? And have some struggle of conscience of like, what did I spend all my time doing? So I think it's human.
Oh, I actually have kind of the opposite of that. Like I feel very, very like confident in what I have done and proud of what I have done. And where I get kind of mixed up is sort of like, do I just want to keep doing that? Or do I want to like do something different moving forward? Like I don't have any like regrets about that time period. I wish I could have been home more when my kids were little, but I mean, I needed to make money, Yeah.
What phase, whenever your kids were younger, what phase of your career were you? Were you still Get Up Kids or more New Amsterdams?
A little of both. Like my daughter was born in 2002, which was when she was born like about a month before we left for a tour for a record, our third record called On a Wire, which was like one of the bigger tours that we ever did. There was this like kind of like momentum at the time, but so there was kind of Get Up Kids for a few, like full on for a few more years. And then I quit the band for 3 years and just did New Ams. And then there's a little bit of both after that.
Gotcha. So that was probably a pretty heavy tour schedule while your kids were pretty young.
Yeah. Yes. More than I would have liked, for sure.
Yeah. I guess your kids are starting the music business world life without having their own kids of their own, so they don't have to worry about that aspect of life, right?
I mean, no, I don't think any of them want to have kids.
Okay.
I think it's a very like Gen Z sort of mentality of just kind of like the world's too fucked up. I don't want to have anything. I don't want to, which I totally, even when they were little and like people would talk about how terrible things are, I'd be like, well, I have to like give humanity the benefit of the doubt because I was stupid enough to bring 3 humans into this world, so I need to like maintain a level of like positivity and hope.
Yeah.
And so that's like when Trump got elected the first time, I was just like, fucking hell. Like what have I done?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like what have we done to the country, which I did think, but it was also just sort of like, oh my God, how did I convince myself to bring 3 other people into the world when it's this bad?
I remember, like, I think Fan Jones maybe was on CNN, and he was like, I tell my son every single day to not be a bully, and our country just elected the biggest bully ever. This is going to make parenting so much harder. So that resonates.
And it made me feel like a liar because I was like, there's no way this is going to happen. This guy's too fucking, and then when it happened again, I was just like, well, like, I don't even make predictions. Like, I'm kind of like, well, logically this makes sense if this was to happen, but then it just seems to not happen. And then I'm just like, well, fuck, what do I know?
I also struggle with not being cynical around my kids because I want them to have hope, basically. And I can find a lot of reasons to not see hope.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I have found to be very positive is that like they've all gotten like very sort of politically active and politically minded. And I've learned a lot from them since they've been a little bit older, and that it makes me feel like they have the tools to move forward, but then they're also like, as bad as the world is now, they don't accept it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that's cool. Yeah.
They're just kind of like, or they do accept it, but they're just sort of like, yeah, that's fucked up. I'm not going to participate in that, and I'm going to go do my own thing, and like not, like I don't even want to get involved in like whatever this dumpster fire is that you guys, created. And I find that to be, that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, as far as like my relationship to the music industry and the touring industry and all of that kind of stuff. Like I self-released my new record, and it feels very like liberating. You know what I mean? Like it just feels very like empowering. It's a lot of work, but I don't feel beholden to anybody.
Yeah, because are you on the label anymore? You're just doing your own thing now, right?
Get Up Kids are signed to Polyvinyl, and Polyvinyl's they distributed my book, and they're distributing the new record, and so I have a working relationship with them. But as a solo artist, I'm just on my own.
Cool.
We're in my record label right now.
You're in the headquarters.
Yes.
Have you named your record label yet? What's the name for it?
It's called Night Shoes, but
okay.
Which is something that some friends of mine used to do. We used to play horseshoes at night under like big bright, like the like work lights that you use, like if you're like when people like are working on the highway at night, they just under those big lights and just play horseshoes and drink beer. It was fun. Night Shoes.
That I also grew up in the Midwest. I feel like I did dumb stuff like that or things like that where I'm like, I'm just gonna be creative and I'm gonna have fun, and here we go.
I mean, there's nothing else to do,
There isn't at all. Did your son play on your new record? I feel like whenever I got like the vinyl, I feel like I saw Jersey's name in there.
Jersey played bass on the record, and then Jersey and my daughter Lily are touring with me and performing with me on this tour. And ironically, Jersey's not playing bass on the tour. He's playing piano and banjo, and Lily's playing bass.
Did any of your kids do any vocal parts or anything on the Terrible 2 albums?
Well, when she was like, let's see, that was in 2008, so she would have been 6. So like she was like, there's a couple songs on actually on both the Terrible 2's records that she sort of wrote that are kind of like dumb shit she'd sing around the house that I would then turn into a song. How kids just like make up shit when they're just like wandering around. So I'd be like, oh, I could turn that into an actual song. So
that's awesome.
She has songwriting credits on those records.
Did you intentionally do that whenever like you were making the album to be like, hey, my kid's getting the songwriting credit on this?
Yeah.
I mean, she wrote the song, so it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't given them any money for it, but there's not really any money. There's no real money made on those records anyway, so.
I'm not going to see anytime soon 25th anniversary of the first Terrible 2 albums on vinyl.
You know what I think
soon.
would be cool to do with those records, because I think that they're both the Terrible 2's records, and then I wrote a third one that I never put out that I think would make good books. Like I think they would make good like do you remember, are you old enough to remember, like we used to get these like 45s from like McDonald's that were like, but it was it was one of those things where like you get like a Star Wars like comic book or whatever, and then the record would like read it to you. I mean, I guess it would all be digital now, but like I thought of something like almost like if you did like a graphic novel of the Terrible 2's songs, and then you could like listen to the record while you were doing it. I think that would be cool, but no one's banging down my door to do that, so it would have to be maybe a passion project down the line sometime.
Yeah, if there's any financial investors listening to this podcast who are super into the Terrible 2's, there's an opportunity to help you out.
There's some element of the Terrible 2's that was sort of an unrealized opportunity. Like I had meetings, like I took a meeting with Nickelodeon.
Oh, really?
When those records came out, and they were like, "Do you have any ideas for a show?" And I was like, "No." Do you have any shows that need a soundtrack? Like it's like I don't make television. Like I just wrote these dumb songs for my kids. But they were like, "This is really good. You should do something with it." And I was like, "I don't know, man. The kids' music industry seems like even more predatory than the regular music industry is," which is ironic since it's for children. But I didn't enjoy my time there. It was just sort of like I did it as like in the purest of joyful things, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, this is a commodity that maybe you could exploit, and it was just kind of like, I don't feel good about that. It doesn't.
No.
It's like taking advantage of parents.
Yeah, I had talked to a woman who does publicity for children's entertainment, and she said one of the hardest things about her job is almost every meeting starts with her being like, hey, kids music is actually a good thing. There's independent artists here. Like, because everyone's like, oh, it's a kid's song, but you won't hate it. And she's like, why do you got to start with such a negative context? Like, these are creative people trying to connect with and entertain children. You're immediately starting with, this is all going to suck. So that's the mountain I have to overcome with every single person I talk to.
It'd be a tough, I mean, even when I was doing those records, like there were plenty of artists who were like, decent, but it was just sort of like, I think that it's like that with any genre of music, really. It's just like the glut of it is just so bad that it's just, the thing that I always struggled with children's music that was geared towards children is that it would be kind of condescending. Like it'd be like, now we're gonna clean up our room, like that kind of shit. And I'd be like, they're not fucking idiots. Like they just like bugs. Like they're not like, they don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or it's like a weird passive aggressive way to be like, hey, you need to clean your room, so I'm going to create a song about it. And you're like, or you could just like talk to your child and be like, hey, let's not trip over stuff. Just clean up your room.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that is what it was. Maybe it was all just a secret
mind play.
taskmaster kind of thing.
I did. So I went to Lollapalooza, I think in 2006, and I'm pretty sure Terrible 2's played the kids stage at Lollapalooza that year.
Yeah. We played twice. We played the Lollapalooza kids stage twice.
Okay. I just remember walking by to walk to a stage and being like, I think that's Matt Pryor playing a guitar to children. And I was like, oh, he's doing a Terrible 2 set. How cool.
Yeah, we only did like a handful of shows. Because it was just, I don't know. It was just sort of like, I think I really liked writing those songs and making those records. And then I didn't like anything else about the experience whatsoever.
Yeah. Since those were like songs that your kids sang around the house, were those pretty personal albums to you also? Because it was like you were creating a world that your kids were singing to you at home.
Yes, but not in the same way as like, when you write a record that's more like therapeutic for you. This was just more like, an expression. It was just sort of like a recorded version of like singing to your kid in the bathtub. You know what I mean? Like it was just sort of, and it was like, it was a bit of a peek into like our lives, I guess. But like, I don't really like look back on them and like get weepy, or like be like, oh, they used to be so small. But that I think the songs are good. I still think the songs are good. But yeah, it's a different. Yeah. It's certainly a different type of. It's a parental love as opposed to like a, I don't know, the feelings you have in like the outside of. It's a very. The love and the experience of being a parent is so much different than any other aspect of life, that it's sort of it's unique in that way. So in that sense, like those records are unique in that they kind of are expressions of that. That is not like there isn't much conflict there, actually, since going back to what we were talking about before. Actually, no, there is in some of them, but in some of the songs, but it's more just like about joy, and just like having fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I think most of the conflict in those songs is like wanting to eat pie instead of cake for your birthday, or
which is a real problem,
like
I mean, or like having to eat vegetables when you don't want to eat vegetables. I mean, like that shit sucks, like
it does.
It's people are starving, because they won't eat their vegetables.
Are you more cake or pie? What's your go-to dessert?
Well, I'm actually diabetic, so I'm not.
Okay, sure.
I'm not
yeah.
either. I'm not a big cake person. I do like a key lime pie or like a shoe fly pie, something with molasses in it that's like a more complex flavor,
Yes. Are you a bit of a foodie?
Yes. I mean,
okay.
Not in the derogatory way. I cook a lot.
Yeah.
I know a lot about food. I got really into like food history for a while. I think at some point when I first started getting kind of disillusioned with the rock and roll lifestyle, I got really into cooking, and like I'd sit on the tour bus and watch the Food Network for extended periods of time. I'd watch Food Network and wrestling. And then so I just got really like experimental with food. And then I got really into like food history and stuff. So I just know, and then I got really into gardening. So now I know a lot about like the botanical side of it.
Oh, cool.
So
that's awesome. I was friends with, or I've had on the podcast before. I think you might have been there before. Audrey's in Nashville.
Yeah.
Have you? Sam Jett is the guy who's in charge of that now, and he's very big into like learning about the plants, like choosing the farms in the Nashville area, respecting the produce.
Sean Brock's place, isn't it? Yeah,
it is. Yeah, he recently left it, and Sam has now taken over
it.
But yeah, it's very focused on like Appalachian food. Like it's almost like elevating your grandmother's kitchen is like the entire purpose of it.
And I'm a big fan of Sean Brock and like that whole like concept of like trying to elevate things like that.
And all of his food is delicious, so it really helps.
That does help.
Do you cook for your kids that often? Like, are your kids adventurous eaters?
I mean, they're more so now that they're older. Mm-hmm. They really love gumbo. We eat a lot of gumbo. I don't know how that ended up being.
That's awesome, but yeah.
But then, I've gotten a lot busier. They all cook as well, and they really like. I think at one point we did when I was on tour, we got one of those like Blue Apron like meal kit things, and they started like doing, because my wife's in school full time, so they would end up doing a lot of the cooking, and just like I think they got into recipes like that way, and so they really love making like Korean food, like bulgogi and bibimbap and that kind of stuff.
I never trust myself to make that type of food. Like anytime I try to make a curry, I know it's just basically a soup, but I always fail at it every single time.
We gotta get back up on that horse and ride, man.
Okay, that's it. I'll look up some more curry recipes after this call. I do want to make sure to ask you about your new album, because I know you're promoting it and everything. Can you tell us about like your new album? I feel like you had a pretty personal like journey of how you wrote it, or what like the energy you started writing with seemed like pretty personal and pretty like you're at a rock bottom whenever you started to write it.
Well, Not when I started to write. Well, okay, so almost 3 years ago, I got sober after a particularly bad sort of 6 months existential crisis of just, you know, being incredibly depressed and drinking myself to death, and, you know, hitting what people in recovery call rock bottom, and going into the hospital and going into treatment and then going into recovery and learning about that. And then so about, I guess it would have been a year and a half, almost 2 years after that experience, I was on tour and I just decided I wanted to start journaling every morning. And so I would get up before everybody else on the tour bus and I would write for an hour. And I found myself writing just sort of like a free thinking, like writing experiment. And I found myself journaling about that time in my life and how I was feeling and how dark it was. And I realized that I think I was doing that subconsciously because I didn't want, I think it was not a positive, it was a very dark, negative experience. And I knew I wanted to remember it, but then I also knew that I would probably try to forget it because it was so bad. And so I was like writing it down, and then I was like, well, this is a story. Like there's a beginning, middle, and end to it, you know? And I was like, well, maybe I should make this into a book. And then I was like, or maybe I should make it into a record. Because I've always been kind of fascinated by the concept of like I don't like the concept of concept records in the sense, because I think that just sounds like you're trying to force a story into a record. But I was curious to see if I could do a record that had a narrative arc, kind of like in the like Joseph Campbell sort of like, I don't know if you're familiar with Dan Harmon at all, but like the kind of like story structure of that.
Yeah.
And so I started to map things out using those principles and just trying to be like, but then also with this thing in mind of like, but these still have to be like good pop songs. Like they still have to be like I don't want to sacrifice, I don't want to force a story in a bad song. Like the song's got to come first. You know what I mean? So that was sort of the experiment.
Yeah, I do.
And I wrote these 10 songs that were based off of these journal entries, and, you know, I just made a record out of it. So it's a concept in the sense that like all the songs are about a particular time in my life, but and like I think it tells a story, but it's kind of convoluted. And I think that like, you ever hear when people describe concept records and you're just like, I don't know, man, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. And I think if I explained it to you, that would kind of be like, you know, that's not really the point. Plus, you know, I'm trying to make it so that it was like an actual record that people wanted to listen to, not just like a think piece, you know? And, so that's, sorry if that's an overcomplicated explanation of it.
No, not really. No, I think concept albums are fascinating to me, but it seems like this album's more like just like a, hey, here's a very real look into my life at this, who I was at this point in time. But also, I want you to like the songs, so I'm trying to balance that.
Yeah, I did intentionally try to write a story arc, and I think that, like everything I write, it gets a little bit obtuse, and so maybe you wouldn't be able to tell what the story arc is, but you might like the songs, and like that's more important to me than whether or not you get the story or not.
Gotcha. Because yeah, I don't ever think of you writing a concept album, and I listen to a lot of musicians who write concept albums.
I don't think I would ever claim. I mean, unless it was like I was going to write about someone in particular. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine. It's also just, it's very arrogant. I think it's a very arrogant concept. Like it's just sort of like, I have elevated myself above other songwriters. You simpletons obviously cannot understand how complicated this is.
Yeah.
You know, my prose that I put into here, you know, and just like, that's what it feels like when you say concept record. And I go like, shut the fuck up. Is the song good?
Yeah.
Like, the song good, nobody, like a good lyric won't save a bad song, you know? But a good song will make a bad lyric sound fucking genius, you know?
It will. I think when I studied audio engineering, the phrase they used a lot was, you can only polish a turd so much. If it's a bad song, it's a bad song. It doesn't matter how pretty you make it sound.
Well, and that's an audio engineer thing too. Of just
Very much so.
Good gear won't save a bad song.
It won't.
You know, it's just that's absolutely polishing a turd. It's lipstick on a pig.
Yeah, because I feel like when someone does a concept album, I love them, but I'm also like, why didn't you just write a musical? I feel like just go write a musical instead.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what it is, you know?
Pretty
or
much.
like a rock opera, whatever that is.
Hazards of Love by the Decemberists. That one just goes full in. They have like the organ to set the musical theme for the entire album. And I'm like, and I think they've been dressed in character. But also the Decemberists are very much that style of band where they perform a play.
I like the Decemberists quite a bit. Some of my bandmates hate them, and they call them library rock. And I was like that. Well, yeah, but I'm really fascinated with language, so
yeah,
you know, it's like people who don't like Bob Dylan. You know what I mean? It's just like it's too dense. It's like, all right, I get it. It's fine.
Yeah,
I like it. But yeah, library rock. Or they feel like they're being lectured. It's like, I don't want to go see a band and be lectured. I'm like, well, yeah, I see that. I feel like I get that more from like the Mountain Goats, but you know, I like them too.
Yeah. The Decemberists are just a really fascinating 7-minute long history lesson. That's what all their songs are for the most part.
I mean, they're the only people I've ever known who've been able to work the word petticoat into a pop song.
Or panoply. I think they use panoply in the song also.
Chimbley sweep. What is it?
Chimbley sweep. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Chimbley sweep. Yep. Did you ever read any of Colin Malloy's books? Like he does like young adult
I did.
novels.
I read the first one, the Wildwood. Is that what
Wildwood,
it's called?
Under Wildwood. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I read that one, and then I kind of fell off. But he's a very talented, gifted lyricist, interesting singer, and really interesting novelist as well.
How was the Kickstarter process for you? As you've done it one other time, right?
Yeah, it was kind of stressful, honestly. It's been I think I learned a lot from it, not the least of which is that I think a rule of thumb with a lot of things in the music industry, like when you're talking about like tours or records or whatever, that like there's a lull. There's like, especially because everything now is so like front loaded, that it's like you announce it and it does the thing and then it's dead. And then like right before it ends, people are like, oh fuck, I forgot to do that thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like walk-up tickets at a show. It's like you sell 20 tickets ahead of time and then 150 tickets the day of, and just like, oh, well, okay. You guys can't read a calendar? Like, come on. Like, it just... Because it's stressful to then, for 6 weeks, be like looking at that 20 tickets sold and be like... So, yeah. So, like, you know, the Kickstarter was only 28 days long. And the first, like, week, we got like a third of the way. And then it just died. Yeah. And then, like, it got past a certain threshold. I realize now, probably would have been easier to just, like, pay for it myself and then just, like... be like, hey, we made the goal, you know, like
yeah.
But we did, so Jersey and I did all the fulfillment. We just are finishing that up now. So it was like 700 records we sent out, and it was like,
nice.
It was a lot of work, but it was really, I don't know. I like Mailroom. It's like, I've been watching that Ken Burns American Revolution documentary and packing records. It's been great.
That's not awful.
No. Cool. It was meditative. I'm learning so much about the American Revolution. Like that Benedict Arnold was like, I'm listening to this thing and like Benedict Arnold was like everybody's like favorite dude. It was like, this guy rules. And I'm like, I know he's gonna fuck us. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's coming. You guys don't know it yet, but it's coming. It's like his name.
He's gonna screw you guys all over.
Yeah. His name's like he's the worst. He's like Judas, you know, like it'd be like reading the Bible and be like, man, this Judas guy is cool as hell, you know, like
he's my favorite disciple. He's my favorite apostle. He's going to do great things with his life.
He's really got it going on.
When you order vinyl for that, because I know you've got like the people order the vinyl on Kickstarter, do you like factor in like ordering enough so whenever you go on tour, you've got like more merch to sell as well?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. There was some complicated math, but I wanted to make sure that I had enough to like I have a back stock for the tour now. But I'm also doing my own mail order, so like it's available in the mail order as well. But yeah, that was kind of part of the plan.
Yeah. How do you feel about nowadays, like promoting yourself? Because a lot of a Kickstarter is trying to get people's attention and pay attention to it. How exhausting is that whole process to you?
I mean, I think you can do it as much or as little as you want, really. I think like with anything, you have to figure out like what you're comfortable with. And that's where I'm sort of debating this a lot lately with the kind of like disposable entertainment side of things, of just like, like how much social media do you want to do? Like how much time do I want to spend filming things and editing things and looking at my own dumb face, Yeah,
I do. Trust me.
So like we shot a cut, like my friend Josh, who did the music videos for the record, he and I shot some like little skit things that he's just going to put together for the tour. And then,
That's awesome.
But it's just sort of like, I don't want to fuck with it, And then I like, as far as like content goes, I like doing like live streams and AMAs because they're more long form and they are impermanent, but they're sort of like interactive. You know what I mean? As opposed to just like me talking into I keep getting all these videos, like, cause I'll watch TikTok to just sort of like zone out. Right. And like, I'll see these videos about like how to grow your content to like 100,000 followers on TikTok. It's like 90% of it is just talking into your phone. And I'm like, that's not really what I'm interested in. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, that's what there's how many times in my life throughout the years it's been like, well, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do in the new music industry. And it's never the case. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's something you could do. Like, I remember, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, everyone's like, you got to start streaming on Twitch. All the bands are like streaming on Twitch. And they're like, and I'm like, I don't really even play video games at all. Like, I don't, and I'm an old man. Like, no one my age does that. Like, like,
no,
it's like people my age are still on Facebook. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it's interesting. Like, I just want to be more, small batch, you know what I mean? Like, artisanal, I guess. Like, it's just sort of like, I just want to make the things that I make and do a minimal amount of promoting. And if I'm going to do promoting, to make it something that's either entertaining or interactive. And which I guess is entertaining. I only want to do things that are entertaining.
Entertaining. That you're about taints. That's what you're here for.
That's the OnlyFans. Entertaining.
That's the OnlyFans. Yeah, that's the other side of your career that hasn't been fully fleshed out yet.
That one's on the DL.
Yeah. That's OnlyFeats also.
Yeah.
That I feel like I've talked to other musicians where they're like, yeah, my management tells me I need to post 2 30 to 45 second videos a day on TikTok 6 days a week in a row for the algorithm to like me. And then they're also like, by the time I do that, the algorithm has changed. So I don't want to do any of this.
Well, and it's like, I felt this way about making music videos in the first place in the 90s. I was like, I didn't get into this to be an actor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to film me when I'm doing my job and I'm performing, that's one thing. But like, I'm not, I mean, I don't know. I've just never, I know I can be an actor if need be, but it's not something that like, that's not my job. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of aspects of this that people try to tell you what is your job, but honestly, you get to determine. That's kind of the beauty of it, is that you get to determine what it actually is. And oftentimes the people who are advising you to do that kind of shit don't do it themselves, and then don't like people who are like, you got to get your web presence up, and it's like, you don't even have a website, dude. Like, what are you talking about? If you think I need 6 30-second videos a day, you fucking make them.
Basically, yeah.
You can just staple my face onto your body.
You'll pay for the poly mask that they can put over their head and talk like you.
I'll have it made. I'll even record the audio for it. Recording audio is something that I do.
Okay, I'm not going to say you should do that, but I am saying that I would love to see a series of videos of someone with a paper cutout of your face with your audio poorly matched with it. Would entertain me greatly.
I don't know, man.
It sounds like it's like a rejected, I think you should leave skit is what that feels like to me. And that would entertain me greatly.
Well, the thing I think is kind of interesting is that like how much of my sense of humor really gets people to like listen to my music. You know what I mean? Like it's just sort of like, it's like whenever like this time of year, I'll get things that are like, give us your top 10, like my publicist will be like, give us your top 10 list for, Brooklyn Vegan. And I'm like, why? And they're like, how does me telling you what records I listen to sell more of my record?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, unless I'm just like, my top 10 records are the 10 songs on my record.
That's what you should do.
I think I just answered my own question.
Whenever your publicist drops you the week after you submit that for all of them, I think you'll understand why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Personally, I would find that hilarious to read an article that's like Matt Pryor's top 10 songs in order. Number 1, Salton Sea. Number 2, Barrymore's. Number 3.
Yep.
That's what we're looking for.
You know what I have found though, when I've done like house shows and like living room shows and stuff, is that like I'm a pretty decent storyteller in between songs, and people seem to like that, and that's when like my sense of humor kind of works to my advantage. I don't know that it works. I think people just think I'm a fucking weirdo when I do something online, Yeah. But
I think having the context of the aura of the night and everything does make a difference for that. Because if you're just telling a dry story and someone reads it, then it's a different vibe.
Yeah, there's got to be a way to do it that's worthwhile. But I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. And I just don't have fucking time to try and figure it out. So.
Yeah. You're like, I'm already trying to get this record out there.
It's not front of mind right now.
Well, you'll write your comedy album next. That'll be your next creative outlet. You'll do this
comedy record.
This will be your set. You'll come out and do stand up for 20 minutes. Your kids will play a set, and then you'll come out and play your set. That's the tour I'm looking for.
It'll just be a traveling minstrel show.
It'll be the Pryor family band,
and we'll do it all in like a tent revival style.
That's it. Yeah,
like out in parking lots, all wearing white seersucker suits and fedoras. Yeah.
How's your auctioneer voice? Do you have a good one?
No, I don't. I could be like a really like slow auctioneer.
Okay.
Like give me 5. Give me 5. I hear 5. Anybody got 5? No. Okay, never mind. Moving on.
Never mind. I guess that's on. My favorite obscure joke from Mr. Show with Bob and David is whenever they came back and did the new series on Netflix, and they did the judge, and they did the no nonsense judge, but she was sick that day, so they did the some nonsense judge. And then at the end, that judge got sick.
I don't remember that one.
And then by the time the skit ended, the some nonsense judge was sick, so there was an only nonsense judge. And it was the guy who does SpongeBob's voice, Tom Kenny. I think it was just him running around like in a wizard's hat, just ripping up things the entire time. It was pure stupidity. It's one of my favorite bits I've ever watched.
That's so funny.
I'll probably start wrapping the episode down, just in the interest of time and everything. Before we do, is there anything you wanted to say about your album or any other like promotional piece you want to make sure to say about it?
It's quite good.
I'm a fan.
I like it. I'm going on tour next year with my children who are adults. It's actually the first time I've gone on tour because when my kids have gone on tour with me before, they've all been underage. And so I've had to there have been times when I remember I was doing a tour. It was me and Chris Conley from Saves the Day doing an acoustic tour. And we played a show and they wouldn't let my daughter into the bar at all. And so I had to sit in the van with her while Chris played, and then he had to come out to the van and sit with her in the van while I played. And this is the first tour where I've always just been like, well, yeah, everybody's over 18, so no worries.
That's the real glamour of being a touring musician with kids right there.
Oh yeah, that's the dream.
Sitting in a van with your daughter being like, all right, Chris said he was only going to play for 45 minutes. I should probably walk in there.
Well, I'm just like sitting in there, watching whatever on my laptop, waiting to go on stage. Like, it's just funny.
So, Matt, how I end every episode is ask a series of 5 questions to every guest.
Okay.
They're pretty lighthearted. They aren't rapid fire. First question is, did you have any backup names for your kids? Like, did you have any names that you guys almost named them?
My wife wanted to name our daughter Lily, wanted to name her Stella. And I said only if her middle name was Artois, like the beer.
Yep.
And then Jersey's name is Jersey because at the time, so I have Lillian, Elliot, and Jersey. And Lillian and Elliot became like very popular kids' names like right after they were born. So like there's like 4 Elliots that are Elliot's age, my Elliot's age. And all their names are spelled differently. It's like 1 L, 2 T's, 2 L's, 1 T. So Jersey's name was like, we got to think of something like more original. And Jersey's like Polish for George.
Oh, okay.
Since my wife's Polish, it was just like, that just sort of went along. But like, yeah, Stella was the only backup name.
That's fair. Anytime I see someone who named their kid Elliot, I always try to figure out how much of an Elliott Smith fan they were based on like the spelling of it as well.
Well, mine should be pretty obvious. It's Elliott, just like Elliott Smith.
Yep. Next question is, do you have a favorite TV, movie, or like book dad?
Like about a dad?
Like in general, like if you think of like a TV dad, like a sitcom dad, something like that. What type of dad do you think of? Yeah.
Huh. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is Bryan Cranston and Malcolm in the Middle, and I don't know why. I'm not entirely sure why that's the first one that comes to mind. I mean, what's an example of like a good dad in like a TV show?
That's part of the question, man. Are you trying to think of a good dad, or are you trying to think of this is a dad that was in a TV show?
Well, this is a dad that's in a TV show. It's easy because it's just like Homer Simpson, Peter Griffin, Archie Bunker, Dick Van Dyke. No, they didn't have kids, did they?
I don't think so.
Ricky Ricardo. I'm trying to think of like who's like a good dad. That's interesting. Can I come back to that one? I have to think about that.
You can come back to that one. Yeah. Next question. You might not have one. Did you ever have a go-to replacement curse word? Like when your kids were younger, like stub your toe, something like that. You don't want to curse in front of the kids?
Oh, no, because I think the concept of censoring curse words is stupid.
Cup.
I think it's like they're just I think that like it's just some arbitrary concept made up by some fucking Victorian minister who just like was like, this word is bad, this word is good. And so I've just had to be like, you can say whatever you want, but just there are consequences if you yell out fuck when you're in 2nd grade.
There are.
And like, not from me, I don't give a shit, but like if you end up in detention, that's your deal.
Yeah, and I can't really save you from being in detention for that.
No, and it's just like I don't think that like language in and of itself is necessarily evil. Like I'd rather teach them not to say slurs that they hear in school than quote unquote bad words,
Okay, I hear that, but like what makes you not curse in your lyrics then? Because I feel like you pretty rarely use curse words or bad words in your lyrics.
My stepfather once when I was growing up said, cursing is the crutch of the conversational cripple.
Okay.
And I was just like, that's interesting because it's just sort of like you can become too dependent on it. And so it's just like there's nothing that expresses like fuck is such a universal word. It can be positive, negative. You say it when you're excited. You say it when you're scared. You say it when you are hurt. It's a physical act,
Mm-hmm.
It's a descriptor. It's a noun. It's a verb. It's everything. So if you can use that word to mean anything, then maybe you shouldn't use that word if you're trying to be creative, because it just challenges you to like. So that's why. Also, it just seems like it's like lazy lyric writing, I guess, to do it too. I mean, I do it occasionally, but not very often.
No, I feel like it sometimes whenever people curse a lot in their lyrics, it does feel lazy or like they're trying hard to be something or to sound tough or something. Yeah.
It loses its impact, I think. It loses the impact.
I would agree. Next question. Whenever your kids were littler, did you have like a favorite toy or activity that you would do with them consistently?
We worked in the garden a lot. I was thinking about this, and I don't know if this is a favorite thing, but this is something that kind of came to mind the other day that was something we used to do a lot. So there used to be this radio show that was on the public. It was on the NPR station out of Kansas City, KCUR, and it was this guy Chuck Haddock, and it was called The Fish Fry, and it was all like, it was just sort of like old timey rock and like pop and soul, like big band, like it's just like fun old timey kind of music. And like they would sing this song at the beginning of it that was about going to a fish fry, and like when the kids were little, we'd get in the kitchen and like dance to the fish fry song, and they would get all excited that the fish fry was on. And it was just I was thinking about that the other day, because I was like, I wonder what happened to that Chuck Haddock guy. But yeah, so I remember that. We used to go to the Christmas tree farm every year, and like the pumpkin patch every year. And we'd cut down a Christmas tree and stuff, but now it's just sort of like, it's cold, you know?
It is. What about Clark Griswold? How do you feel about Clark Griswold as like a fictional character?
I fucking hate Chevy Chase.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay. You are a Dan Harmon fan. Does that affect your opinion of Chevy Chase a little bit?
If Dan Harmon's opinion of Chevy Chase hadn't been proven over and over and over and over again, then I would just think Dan Harmon was a bitter person. But like Chevy Chase just seems like an insufferable asshole. And so, and like from day one, and it's just sort of like, so I also have a hard time. Do you remember that movie, The Money Pit? It was like Tom Hanks.
Yes.
I have a hard time with movies where the whole gag is that things just keep going wrong. Like, it's kind of why I have a hard time with Curb Your Enthusiasm sometimes, because I just it gets a little uncomfortable for me, because I'm just like, oh, you're doing this to yourself. You're making this so hard on yourself. And so, you know, I think there's a lot of funny parts of the Vacation franchise, but I can't fucking stand Chevy Chase.
Because you're like, oh, is this a bit or is it not? Are you just an insufferable person to be around?
He's like I understand. I don't know, man. I think that those
you're good.
Those movies are like, those movies are good in spite of what a prick he is. You know?
Gotcha. That's fair.
Eric Idle getting hit on the bicycle in European Vacation when he's like spewing blood. It's just like, it's like the Black Knight scene from Monty Python.
Yeah.
But in that, you know, it's just like, just a flesh wound, you know.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then last question. Let's see. If you had one, what was like your least favorite kids show? Like whenever your kids would go to watch it, would you be like, this is crap? Was it?
You know what I fucking hate? Caillou.
Caillou's the worst.
I fucking hate Caillou. It's that whiny bitch. My wife loves Caillou.
Really?
Yeah. And then I would always be like, I'm a little whiny bitch. Whiny, whiny, whiny bitch. Like all he does is fucking complain the whole time.
Yep.
And she's like, he's adorable. And I'm like, he sucks. He's just not a good person. He's the Chevy Chase of animated children.
That's actually probably the most common answer is every dad is like, he's a whiny bitch. I hate the tone of his voice. I don't understand what this character is. And I hate how my kids act after they watch him.
Well, talk about like, you know, sending the wrong fucking message. Like he never learns anything. He just fucking complains about everything. Like it's just sort of like, I don't see the point of it. So I don't know. That one always bugged me. And then most of the other kids shows I could find like the redeeming qualities in them, you know, like I'm trying to think if there were any that I really did not like.
Caillou gets a lot of hate. Like, Caillou's pretty easy to hate, so you might have just focused all your hate onto Caillou.
Yeah, that may have been. Because now I'm like thinking about all the ones that like they love the Backyardigans, which is great, you know.
Yeah,
and,
there's a lot of really good ones out there.
There's probably, you know, I wish at the time when I was dabbling into children's music, I wish there was more children's music that was of the caliber of some of children's television. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you can take something that's like geared for a 5-year-old in television and make it charming and intellectual and still fun for the kid. And then people just don't even fucking try to do it in kids' music. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still hung up on this. Who's a good dad? I'm gonna stick with Malcolm in the Middle. I think I remember him being kind of loving, and then when you realize that he's Walter White, you're just kind of like, Jesus Christ, how is that? Yeah. That guy's the most amazing actor in the world. You know,
he really is. Yeah, I don't feel like I think I've rewatched Breaking Bad once because my wife hadn't watched it. It's one of those shows where I loved it. I'm fascinated by it. It's not a comfort show. I'm not going to sit down at the end of a long day and be like, let's revisit the Peekaboo episode where the drug dealers are in the house with their son. That's what I'm going to do tonight.
For some reason, I find the tension in that show less stressful than Larry David. Like, I find Larry David's tension to be somewhat like, I don't know why I don't know what that says about, I mean, obviously says something about me, but like, just, I don't know. There's so many like scenes and I mean, Jesus Christ. I saw an interview with, I can't remember the actor's name now. I'm blanking on it. The guy who played Todd and who's in that new.
Oh, Jesse Plemons or whatever.
Yeah. Spoilers, when Todd has to shoot the kid.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how like that week when they were going to film that episode, all the writers were being really weird to him and he hadn't read the script yet. And then as soon as he read it, he was like, oh no. It's just like, I see why everybody's being so straight, like so tense around me. But
yeah. That dude went from like Friday Night Lights to that role and is now like on a fantastic acting career. Is really
he's a good actor. He's definitely a good actor. That Begonia movie looks really interesting.
It looks fascinating. Yeah. I like I think he was in the second season of Fargo as well, and he was great in that also. Anyway, only other thing I have for you, just a moment for self-promotion. If you want to find your album, website, do some self-promotion of how to find your music, all that good stuff.
Matt Pryor and the saltandsea.com. It's got 10,000 30-second TikTok clips on it of me ranting about the government.
Maybe you can do that for TikTok content.
And woke culture. I get real deep on
just
woke
break up
culture.
your songs into 30-second segments and then just post it on TikTok and be like, here you go. Are you happy now?
I wonder if that would work.
I don't know if it would. Can you try?
There's got to, I love the concepts of like trying to game the system like that. Like someone was talking about how like AI could write a song like mine. And I was like, well, not if I put out like 4 records of like really hardcore industrial music. Then it's just like, it would fuck the algorithm up so bad that it wouldn't know what to do. And it's like, that's how I beat the machines.
Just create some outliers. The next album you do will be a real Rage Against the Machine album.
That's what Neil Young did to get out of his record contract.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They made that, what's it called? Like metal music or music machine, something like that, where it's like real like noisy or whatever. And then they were like, well, you got to do a rock and roll record. So he did like a full like Elvis, like rockabilly record. He's like, it's rock and roll.
Here you go. I did to the letter of the law what you wanted me to do. So, no, man. Thanks a ton for your time. Thanks for being willing to do an episode. And thanks again. I really appreciate it.
All right. Cheers.
Cool.
Have a good night.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the Imperfect Dads Podcast. And make sure to give us 5 stars wherever you listen to us. Music, editing, and production is all done by me. Make sure to tune in on Mondays and most Thursdays for new episodes. This podcast is part of the Never a Face Network. Make sure to go to neverafacenetwork.com to learn more about them.